Hi everyone, welcome to Salesforce Topics channel. In this video, let us discuss on the enforcing of object and field level security in custom Apex. This is a part 2 video for enforcing techniques for object level and field level permissions in custom Apex. For better understanding, I request you to go to the part 1 video where we have discussed with security enforced and with user mode enforcing techniques, and then come back to this video for remaining enforcing techniques. Those are strip inaccessible and sObject and field describe result methods. Let us see a quick recap on our demo application and our requirement. Using this application, users can get the pending service request by using this button. User can add the service request by clicking on this button and by selecting the fields. For example, here I am entering these details. And once user clicks on the create service request, it will be created and it will get displayed in the pending service requests. Users can also update the service request by selecting any of the service request and by modifying the data and by clicking the update service request button. The data has been updated. And in the same way, users can also delete the service request by using this delete service button. For this application, we have a custom object, that is service request custom object. Under this, we have fields like the bill amount, city, comments, free service, etc. To see the object level and field level security effect in custom Apex classes, we will use the user called tech1 user. And for tech1 user, let's configure object and field level security for our custom object. As we know, we can configure the object level and field level security under profiles and permission sets of the users. Under profile, I'm not going to give any access for the custom object. So under profile, if you see, the service request does not have any permission at object level and field level. I'm going to give the permissions on our custom object in the permission set of this user. So let's select the permission set, object settings. For our service request object, I'm going to give the following permissions at object level and field level. At the object level, I'm going to give read, create, edit, and I don't want to allow the users to delete the records of this object, so I have not given a delete permission. Let us assume we have a requirement, that is free service and bill amount. These two fields should not be exposed to tech1 user. For this, at the permission set level, we will remove the read and edit access. And for this, we have given read and edit access for all the fields except for the bill amount and free service fields. For bill amount and free service fields, we have not given any read and edit permissions. One of the enforcement technique for object and field level permissions in the custom Apex is StripInaccessible method. We can use this method for the results of SOQL. After we get the result, if we use this method, and you will get the sanitized result. For example, we are not using any keyword here with security enforced or with user mode. So by default, it runs in a system mode and it gives the result of all the records into this list. And this list we can pass to the StripInaccessible method. That method sanitizes the result. StripInaccessible method is available in the class called security, and it takes the access type. Here the access type is readable, and source records are going to be our pending service requests, and it returns sObject access decision. Please note that this SOQL returns complete data as it ran in the system mode. When we pass pending service request to this StripInaccessible method, what it does is it removes all the inaccessible fields data from the actual data, and it sends the sanitized data to the decision object. Here we call it as sanitized because it removes all the inaccessible fields data and it only sends us the data which user has access to. Using this decision object, we can get the sanitized result using the getRecords method. Let's deploy this code. And now when Tech1 user tries to access this pending service request, he will see the data but not the free service and bill amount, because the strip inaccessible method sanitized this data and removed the free service and bill amount. We can access all the removed fields by using the method called getRemovedFields. By using this method, we can access the list of removed fields. Using this method, we can access the list of removed fields over the operation that it has performed. Also, if you want to check a particular field on a record, whether it is accessible or not, we can check with the decision object. Let's access one service request from the decision getRecords. I'm just accessing the first one. Now we can use this service request.isSet method, and by passing the field whichever you want to check. For example, here I am sending the bill amount. In this case, since this field is removed, it returns as boolean value false. Same way, if you access another field which is readable, that is or number, in this case isSet method for this field returns true. Like this decision has some helpful methods. By making use of those methods, we can implement our custom logic as required. The strip inaccessible method can be applied to the DML as well. For example, over here, before passing the actual data to the update statement, we can use the strip inaccessible method for sanitizing the data and then send the sanitized data to the DML statements. So let's make use of this security.stripInaccessible method. Over here, the access type is updatable. This time we are going to update, so it is updatable. And here we need to pass the list of records. So let's take a list of service requests and add our service request to this list, and then this list we are going to pass to the strip inaccessible method, and then we will get a object access decision. From this we will access the sanitized data using the getRecords method. Over here we have only one record, so I am using this one, so that now we are passing the sanitized data to the update. Now the UI sends the data in the bill amount and free service fields. Here we are passing the sanitized data, so the update DML will be performed on the sanitized data. Let's deploy this code. Now I logged in as an administrator, and now we could see for this record the bill amount is 23 and free service is false. I logged in as a Tech1 user, and I am going to edit this record with some bill amount like 2000, and then when I click on the update SR, it should not update that bill amount to 200. Over here we cannot see, because for the SOQL also we used strip inaccessible method, that's why it's filtered here. Let's log in as an admin and see the data. So when we log in as admin and see the Tech1's record, over here we can see the data is not updated for the bill amount. The entered data, that is 2000, is not updated to the bill amount, because we enforce the security by using the strip inaccessible method. Same way we can use this strip inaccessible method for the create operations also. Here we are going to use access type as creatable, and over here we are going to pass decision dot get records of 0. We have only one record in this list right now in this code. Find this. Now let's try to create one SR. Let's select intentionally enter some amount to the bill amount and enter some data. Once I click on this create service request, it has to create the service request, but the bill amount should not be updated to the DB because we used StripInaccessible method before calling the create DML. The service request has been created, and let's see this by logging in as an admin user. This is the new service request. It has been created by Tech1 user. And if you see the bill amount, whichever he has entered is not taken. Like this, we can enforce the field level and object level security by using this StripInaccessible method. This StripInaccessible method has one limitation, that is, we cannot use this StripInaccessible method for the aggregated result. For example, our SOQL has some methods like sum of the bill amount, this SOQL returns the aggregate result, and on this aggregate result we cannot use the StripInaccessible method. The other limitation is this StripInaccessible method does not support for delete DML operations. That is, this method will not filter the ID field, hence this method is not useful for the delete DML operations because the delete DML operations at minimal require the ID field. And hence this StripInaccessible method is not useful for the delete operations. The other technique for enforcing the object and field level permissions in custom Apex is by using the object and field describe result methods. This is a very flexible way for finding out the object level and field level security permissions for the given user in the custom Apex code. It can be applicable to the SOQL query and DML queries. For example, whether the user has the object level permissions or not, we can make use of the describe as object result methods, and to find out the field level accesses, we can make use of the describe field result methods. Suppose if we want to find whether the current user has the read permission on the given object, then we can use of this schema.sObject type dot that object name dot is accessible. Same way for the create, we use schema.sObject type dot the object name and is creatable. For edit, we will use is updatable. For delete, we will use sObject type dot that sObject dot is deletable method. Please note that these methods internally checks for the both profile level and permission set level for the current user. In the same way, if we need to check for the read access of any particular field, we can make use of schema.sObject type dot that particular object dot fields dot that field, whichever field you wanted to check. In this case, on the service request object, we want to check the bill amount field whether it is accessible or not. That's why we are using bill amount dot is accessible method. Same way, if we want to see the edit access for this bill amount field, we will use schema.sObject type dot that service request object because it is there in the service request object, and then fields dot bill amount dot is updatable or is creatable. Now let us use this object description result and field description result methods and enforce the security for our class. For example, in this method get services request, we are making a SOQL call here, and bill amount free services fields are not exposed to few users. So we can check whether these fields are accessible or not like this. So schema dot object type dot, our object is service request object, and we are going to access its fields dot and bill amount field. This field user should have read access, so we are going to use is accessible method. In the same way, we are going to add the is accessible method for the free service field. In case if user has this access to these two fields, then only we will query with those fields. Otherwise, we will query with the SOQL which is not included with the restricted fields. Now we have enforced the security for the bill amount and free service fields by using the field describe result methods. Let's deploy this code. Now when Tech1 user accesses this get pending service request, he will get all the pending service request without free service and bill amount data. Because for the Tech1 user, he does not have bill amount and free service access at the profile level as well as at the permission set level. So these flags will become the false, and hence it goes into the else, and hence this particular SOQL will get executed. In the same way, we can make use of the object describe result and field describe methods for the updates TML statements also. For example, in this case, for updating the bill amount, we simply add a condition saying that bill amount field should be is updatable, and in that case only we are going to update the bill amount. And in the same way, for the free service, we are going to add another if condition, the free service field, whether this free service is updatable or not. If it's updatable, then only we are going to update that free service into this object. Ultimately, this service request record will be passed to this update statement, and only the updatable fields get updated by using the update statement. In the case of Tech1, he does not have access to the bill amount and free service. So though the data comes to this method, it will not be assigned to this service request, and that data, bill amount and free service data, will not be getting updated to the database. Right now I logged in as admin user and see the Tech1's record has a bill amount 23. Let's log in as a Tech1 user and try to update this bill amount. I logged in as Tech1 user, and for this particular service request, I am going to enter the bill amount as 5000 and some comment. And then when I click on the update SR, it should not update the 5000 amount on this particular record, but it has to update the comments field. And now let's log in as the admin user and check the result. Let's open this record and see the comments has been updated, but the bill amount has not been updated, because we have enforced security on the bill amount field by using the field describe result method. In the same way, whenever we are creating the service request, we can enforce the field level security for the bill amount and free service fields. Code is almost same like earlier code. We just need to change method name as is creatable, and for this object, before it is being inserted, we need to add the object level describe result method, that is creatable. then only we will insert this record. Like this, we can add the security enforcement by using the field describe result and object describe result methods. Let's deploy this code. Now let me add one service request, and I am going to enter bill amount as 4000 and some dummy data. And once I click on the create SR, since the Tech1 user is having the permission of create on this object, he should be able to create this record, but without the fields data, that is bill amount and free service. Yes, he has created this record, and let's see this data by logging in as admin. This is the recent data that Tech1 user has created. If you see, the record has been created, but the bill amount data is not populated because we have enforced the security for the bill amount field by using the field describe result method. Finally, to enforce the security for this delete service request method, we can make use of this object describe result method, that is deletable method. And only when user has this delete permission on this object, then only we are allowing users to delete that records of that object. If not, we will throw an aura handled exception by mentioning the message like you are not authorized to delete source. Let's deploy this code. And please note that the Tech1 user does not have a delete permission on this service request object, so he should not be able to delete the records. For example, let's try this particular record, and he will get displayed with an error message saying that you are not authorized to delete this source. Like this, object describe result methods and field describe result methods are very useful to enforce the security in the custom Apex classes for the fields and objects. Thanks for watching. We will meet in the next session.